Hello, I'm Sam from Jessup Says. The focus of my channel is to share and educate on how to buy less, buy better. It's not necessarily about buying less things, it's about buying something that fits its purpose perfectly and serves you for as long as possible. Now, a white shirt may be the single most useful and most used piece of clothing that I own. They can be layered under pretty much everything from a linen shirt on a hot day to a sports coat or a blazer on a warmer one. They also happen to look great by themselves, appropriate for most, if not all, outfits that I can personally think of. Needless to say that the right white t-shirt is sort of a mythical grail item for us all. But let's be honest, there are so many plain white t-shirts out there, and it can be quite hard to figure out which one suits your body, your style, and hopefully will last a bit longer than a couple of years of fairly hard and regular wear. Today we are of course starting off with the brand that I always consider when considering new entrants into the buy less, buy better lifestyle. The brand that is, in my mind, the bare minimum of quality to price ratio. A brand that sells quite a few different styles of white t-shirts and is sure to have one that fits you. That is of course Uniqlo, and today we're talking about the Supima cotton crew neck t-shirt. Before we get into that, I wanted to first talk a little bit about what I'm looking for in a t-shirt in terms of the fit and the style and the quality points that I like to look for when I'm looking for one that I would want to wear. So it's probably no surprise that my style is quite classic, quite understated, but I find that by choosing a simple white t-shirt, being super simple, it allows me to wear it in the most broad number of ways. This means that I'm looking for a plain white t-shirt, no logos. I want a fit that's fitted across the chest and shoulders, but not too tight, especially around the arms. I want a shirt that's long enough that it can be tucked into shorts or trousers without coming out every time that you move your arms. Another thing is a really nice crew neck, so a round opening for the head and neck. Something that allows the design to be worn with a blazer and still look appropriate. I'm also looking for quality fabric, not necessarily thick, but something that's sturdy and yet soft and breathable. This is a key because I don't want the t-shirt to be too hot for daily wear here in Australia. Finally, I want something that's made in a country and in a way that I like and agree with. We will use all of these as sort of points of comparison as we go through this review and future t-shirt reviews to see how they all stack up against this sort of criteria that I'm looking at. Now I realize that this isn't exactly how everyone wants to wear a t-shirt. Some people like oversized shirts, some people probably wear v-necks, though they probably shouldn't. And there are lots of different styles out there that you may want to consider or try before deciding which style suits you best. I've tried pretty much all of these styles throughout my lifetime, and eventually I identified that the points that we've just covered for my body make me the most comfortable and look and feel the best for my style. So with all that said, let's get into this shirt. Uniqlo's description on their website leaves a little bit to be desired, or maybe it perfectly sums up this t-shirt. I'm not sure, let's find out. The quote is simply, "Our smooth, premium, 100% cotton t-shirt." Yeah, that's all they wrote. Kind of feels like they stopped writing the description there, but not sure. That's a bit weird. Anyway, the details are, the style is the Supima cotton crew neck short sleeve t-shirt. They also have a dry, which has polyester in it, and a airism version, which has polyester and elastane in it. There's a few different types, but I personally prefer the cotton options for my purposes. The color is of course white, but they do come in a range of different colors, and the shirts are made in Vietnam. The material is 100% Supima cotton. The construction, well, there wasn't really much to go on, but they do say that they've made it a basic design that styles alone or layered. They also point out that the t-shirt has meticulous finish down to the details like collar width and stitching. As for the fit, I purchased a small, the one I'm wearing today, but I probably would wear a medium if I was going to buy it again. At the time of purchasing this t-shirt, I probably wanted a much more tight or body fitted fit than I'm probably more comfortable with it or used to in my current lifestyle. The cost is $19.90 Australian dollars, so just under $20, which is insane value. The history and company overview of Uniqlo has been covered already, and it's not particularly exciting to share, so I thought I might share with you what I could find about the history of the plain white t-shirt. Plain white t-shirt for men has come a long way, and it does have a fascinating history. It can be traced back to the late 19th century, where it's first worn by laborers and manual workers as an undershirt. It was made of lightweight and breathable cotton, and it was comfortable to wear and easy to wash because white was the cheapest fabric, and it was easy to get the stains out of, or not if that was your style. I'm not that familiar with the time, but maybe at the time it was kind of cool to have your own custom brown work shirt, patina, white shirt. I'm not sure, but personally I like to keep mine washed and nice and white. Once again, we see that our modern fashion comes directly from the military. During the early 20th century, the plain white t-shirt became popular as an outer garment for men, particularly amongst soldiers and sailors. The US Navy adopted the t-shirt as part of their standard issue uniform, and it quickly became a symbol of American masculinity and also ruggedness. In the 1950s, the plain white t-shirt took on a new cultural significance with the rise of youth culture and the emergence of things like rock and roll music. Iconic figures like James Dean, Marlon Brando popularized the sort of rebel look, which included a white t-shirt, jeans, and a leather jacket. This look was emulated by teenagers and young adults who saw the white t-shirt as a sort of symbol of non-conformity and individuality. In the present day, the plain white t-shirt continues to be a staple of men's fashion. It's worn as a casual, everyday garment, as well as dressed up with a blazer or a suit for a more formal look. It remains a canvas for creativity and self-expression within the menswear fashion industry. Now, I know you've all heard of Supima cotton, and it's definitely used as a bit of a hype term. So what does it actually mean, and is the cotton any better? Well, maybe. Supima cotton is a type of extra long staple cotton that is grown exclusively in the United States. It gets its name from the acronym Supima, which stands for Superior Pima, and the name Pima is used to refer to American Pima cotton, which is a specific variety of cotton grown in the southwest of the United States. This Pima cotton is known for its long, strong, and high quality fibers. So it's basically the best Pima cotton, making it superior and therefore Supima. Supima cotton is known for its exceptional strength, durability, and softness, and it is considered to be one of the finest cottons in the world, often compared to things like Egyptian cotton for its luxurious feel. The fibers of Supima cotton are longer than those of regular cotton, as we've just discussed, and this makes it not only stronger, but also resistant to things like pilling, shrinking, and stretching. It's basically a perfect material for creating a t-shirt from. Now, to be fair, the actual fabric that Uniqlo have used is really quite nice. It's very soft, it feels very nice against the skin. There's definitely no pilling anywhere on it. It hasn't shrunk as far as I've noticed, and I think I would probably notice. So overall, it seems to be a very good fabric. It isn't particularly wrinkle resistant, not that it claims to be. So if you want it to look super clean and super, sleek, you might want to iron it before you wear it out. But that's completely up to you if you want to be the guy who irons their t-shirts. I will admit that sometimes I do it, probably most of the time I do it. It's just a personal preference thing. So the fabric seems to be very, very good by all accounts. And Uniqlo do seem to pay a lot of attention to the fabrics they use and how those materials are meant to be used and intended to be worn. So they do really pay a lot of attention to the materials section of their garments, and they should be applauded for doing so. Now, the reason you would choose a Uniqlo is probably not because of how well it's constructed. They say it has a basic design, which means it's easy to style, and I absolutely agree with that. They also then go on to say that it has meticulous finish down to the details like the collar and stitching. Now, the collar fit is pretty good. It sits nicely on my chest and neck. It's not particularly wide, like as in this part, it's not particularly wide, but it's much nicer than the French binding that you sometimes see, which is basically where it's just like that on the neck. And you see that sometimes on really, really cheap shirts, and it should be avoided if it can be. The stitching, across the shoulders, around the arms, down the side, along the bottom, it's all very tidy. And it wouldn't be a stretch to say that Uniqlo have amazing quality control in all their factories, allowing the stitching to be, as they say, meticulous. It is made in Vietnam, so that's a clear strike against it being made in a way that I personally agree with, but it's only a $20 shirt, so realistically, I am asking a bit much for that price point. I don't want to go into too much detail on the fit here because I'm clearly wearing a size smaller than I definitely wear these days. The fit on my arms is, I don't know, the most noticeably tight feeling bit. It's quite uncomfortable for me. The chest and back is also a little more fitted than I'd like, but it's not exactly bad for a small size. The medium would have fit me much better and was probably the right size. The neck is really good, and that meticulous attention to its width has paid off. As for the length in the body, it's a little too short for my personal liking, but it's likely that the t-shirt is intended to be worn untucked, not tucked, as that's probably a more common style, so all the decisions make sense. Again, it would probably be a pretty good fitting and comfortable shirt if it was in a medium, though I'm not sure that the arms would be loose enough, so I might even have to try a large to get my perfect size. This is pretty typical for me because I am between sizes. It really just depends on the cut and how I want to style it. So consider that if you are thinking about buying one for yourself. Now I do want to cover how I style the plain white t-shirt, but as I'm not exactly wearing this t-shirt at all at the moment because of its fit, I wanted to save that element of this video for a t-shirt, a white t-shirt that I'm actually wearing and one that fits me. What I will say is that the cut of this garment is almost exactly what I was after in terms of its fit. If it was a bit longer and it could be tucked in a little easier, I might even consider going and buying a medium because it is quite a nice t-shirt and the material is very nice. But it's not the perfect t-shirt for me in my current lifestyle. So we started off this t-shirt series with a t-shirt that I don't actually wear anymore, and that's okay. I outgrew it, both metaphorically and literally, it would seem. But to its credit, it has lasted me and been in my wardrobe for probably 5 or more years. So that's a lot of wear, and I've really enjoyed all of those times that I have worn it. It may not be the highest quality construction or made in a way that we know is ethical, but the fabric is nice and the cut is pretty good. I'd say that for most men, this is probably a great step up or a step down if you're spending your money on designer t-shirts. And for that money, you're gonna get a shirt that's a good quality, fairly well built, and it's going to last more than a few seasons and be very comfortable the whole time. I'm looking forward to the next white t-shirt review and see if we can get in a bit more detail about how I might actually wear one. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Links are in the description as always, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Cheers.